Welcome, and welcome, and welcome, and welcome. I'm your host, Rob Black, and this is the Rob Black Show, and welcome to another day of greatness. That's what it is, another day of greatness. Well, kind of greatness. It's November 17th. 2014. It's actually the same day that it was a week ago. It's the same day as it was 2 weeks ago. It's the same day as it always is. It never changes. It's constantly, always the same stuff. But hey, we're still alive, and we're kicking, and we don't have any rockets in our face, any suicide bombings in our studio, or diseases like EBOLA. We're not a Mexican student dead in a ditch because the president killed us. Oh, no. We are just the Rob Black Show, broadcasting on the World Wide Web. That's what we are. How's everybody doing? Did you have a good weekend? Did you have a fun weekend? Like I said, it's the 17th. We are rapidly closing this month, and we will be in December. Oh, man. I'm not going to do the same shtick that I do every couple days where I comment how time is going so fast, and we're almost in December, or we're almost in October, and oh my God, but we're almost in December right now. It's amazing. And today's a busy day for me on a personal level. I have to go. I know some of you are going to be very surprised by this, but I actually have to go to the DMV when the show is over and take my written test. Yes, I've been driving on a temporary license for the past 2 months, and it expires tomorrow on the 18th. So I have to go to the DMV today and take the written test. So that's a big pain in the eyes. So I've got to go over the practice tests once again, make sure that I know all of the nuances that the California driving manuals state, and that I pass the test so that I am continuously being legal to drive an automobile. So I got to do that at the end of the show. Big pain. And then I got to call the vet because my bulldog, my French bulldog, he's got something wrong with his ear. I think he's got like ear mites or something. He'll scratch his ear to the point where right behind it, he'll like break the skin. And I look into his ear, and it looks like he's got wax buildup. And when I look online, it says that's mites, ear mites. That's what it says. I don't know. And he's got the flea medicine, you know, the frontline stuff every month and the whole thing. So, I don't know. It's another big pain in the eye. Like, I gotta... So, I gotta do that after the show. And when we get done here at 2, it's a rush to get all these things done because most of the world closes at 5. So it's a big pain. Anyways, that's what I got to do. I just figured I'd share it with you. I haven't given you the Rob Black personal update in a while, so I felt I needed to get you up to speed as to what is going on in my uncomplicated life. It's just the same. That's it. That's it. It's it. Say, what am I going to do today? Same stuff as yesterday. I often was thinking over the now I'm really going to get into personal stuff. I literally, at one point when I was walking the dog, I said to myself, so this is it? Like, this is it. This is it. If I live to be 70 years old, this is it. This is what I'm going to do for the next 30 years. That's it. If I live till I'm 80, this is what I'm going to do for the next 40 years. I started to get little chills through my body. I said, really? This is it? This is it. As I'm picking up feces in the fake wood brick block stuff that are around the apartment complexes out here. The dog that does poo-poo in. I'm picking it up thinking, so this is it. This is it. It's over. This is it. This is it. Get up, talk for 3 hours on radio, work out, cook dinner, watch the news, go to sleep. Get up, talk on the radio for 3 hours, work out, eat dinner, watch the news, go to sleep. Get up. That's it. I just walk it going, wow, how did it all become this? Well, how did I go from being 21 years old and being in the seedy, dirty adult entertainment business, jet setting here, jet setting there, driving the big fancy cars, partying, just really every day being a new adventure, a professional wrestling company, all of these things. And now, get up, talk on the internet for 3 hours a day, work out, eat dinner, watch the news, go to sleep. How did it become that? How? How did I get to there to here? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm here, and I think that's it. That's it. That's it. It's over. 41. 41. 41. Oh my God. I get up in the morning and my legs hurt. My feet hurt. My arms hurt. Ugh. It's just like, I literally walk like this. It's bad. Anyways. At least my head hasn't been cut off by ISIS. That's the important thing. At least I still got my head. Got my fingers. But that's not so much that I'm lucky. It's actually because I don't go hang out in Syria. I'm not living it up in Syria. Chilling with people who want to cut my head off. So, the big news. Well, I got all sorts of big news, medium news. I don't even know what you would call it anymore. Depending on what program or where you get your news from, determines how big the news is, and of course how that news is shaped, how you're going to react to the news based on how they are going to present it. They could present it real big, or they could present it in a way that just is passing by. Like, hey, you got the $2? What? Do you got $2? You want to borrow money? How much do you want? It could be presented like that, or it could be presented like, can you give me $1 million? So it all depends. It really does. It all depends on which broadcasts you're watching. And we've broken it down before. You have Fox News, which is just shouting at you, liberals suck, Democrats suck, President Obama's the Antichrist. So anything to serve the agenda of the Republicans, they will scream from the rooftop and say whatever that news story is, and they will craft it, manipulate it, and put it out there as the most horrific thing to the people that live in the United States and, hell, in the world. And it's all because of the Democrats. And they don't hide their slant because they say, we are Republicans. We are talking from a Republican standpoint because we are the only network on the television that is a Republican slant. And everybody else is liberal media, so we're the ones that have to balance off the unjusts in this United States media landscape. So you got Fox. Then you got CNN, who is very right-leaning, but they hide it. They put it on in a cloak. They shield it. So they talk to you as if they're mainstream, middle of the road. They don't have a side media. But really, they lean to the right. They just hide it better. And then you got MSNBC, and MSNBC is just, they're just bad. And that's what I watch the most. And normally it's to yell at the TV. It's to scream because the people are so bad. And out of all of their hosts, you only have 3 or 4 that are really good. Chris Matthews, really good. And then his goodness is so outweighed by horrific. And when I say horrific, you can't get any worse than Chris Hayes and Ronan Farrow. I mean, they're horrible. They really are horrible. Joe Scarborough, horrible. I mean, they are just horrible. And all 3 for different reasons. Ronan Farrow is just incompetent, has no idea what he's doing. And just like when MSNBC hired Chelsea Clinton, and I have nothing against Chelsea Clinton. I love Bill Clinton. I love Hillary Clinton. I love the Clintons. But let's face it, Chelsea is not a reporter. She's nothing of the sorts, and she never even really tried to work in that profession. She basically got a job from MSNBC for $500,000-$600,000 as a payback to the Clintons, and of course, because it's pretty cool to employ the former president and first lady and senator and secretary of state. I mean, the list goes on with Hillary. and it also gives you a little foot in the door when it comes time for Hillary Clinton to run for president and get interviews, and Bill Clinton to get him for interviews. Just politically, it's a good move. Politically, it's a good move, but for all practical purposes, when it comes to actually doing business, news, reporting, creating a show, the Chelsea Clinton show, it wasn't going to happen. Ronan Farrow is in that same wavelength. It's a good-looking kid who's a real dad, from what we know through the tabloids by Ronan's mom, Farrow, and Woody Allen, the stepdad, that Frank Sinatra is really Ronan Farrow's dad, but that was hush-hush. But at the end of the day, a good-looking kid who speaks well but knows nothing about politics, is a horrible interviewer, and basically is just there as eye candy for, I don't know, maybe people who like looking at a pretty guy ramble on about. I don't know. He's horrible. Chris Hayes is just your prototype, stereotypical hipster with the horn-rimmed glasses and just the whole awkward. I'm a doofus, but I'm hip and I'm cool, and I drink chai latte, and I'm a liberal, and I have Muslim friends that we go to mosques and pray, but they're not terrorists, and I defend anybody that says the Muslim religion is radical and evil. It's only a small group of people. I mean, that's his whole yay, rah, rah, rah. So MSNBC is just, again, you have Chris Matthews, Reverend Al. Reverend Al's great. Reverend Al, he starts that show. He looks in the camera and goes, Republicans, evil devils. Right back at you. He is just says just really over the top. I mean, let's face it. Reverend Al has the commercial. That's the promotion for a show where he's talking about Republicans stealing the little girl's blueberry pie or apple pie. He's like, and then the Republican comes over and he looks at the girl and says, "Give me that effing pie." Takes the pie. That's a Republican taking your pie. It's great. Reverend Al has the gusto that the Fox News crew, the Hannitys, and the O'Reillys, he has that, Republicans, all racists, will be have political nation. It's the best. Republicans taking the pie, taking your money, and then stabbing you right in the throat with a pen. Right back at you. So Reverend Al's great. Chris Matthews, same thing. He gets a little wet in the mouth though, and you can sometimes see he gets the white chalky buildup in the corners of his mouth, and I just want to be like, Chris, wipe that down, just wipe it, and he'll get his mouth going real juicy, and he'll have to suck back in the spit. So he'll be talking, and he'll be like that, because you can see the spit. But he's awesome too. because he starts the show the same way Reverend Al does. And I know Reverend Al borrowed that from Matthews, but Matthews, he'll look at the camera and it's just like two lines. Republicans, evil, split hardball. It's awesome. It's great. So that's it. Those are the two good people. The rest of them are just horrific. Even my girl, woman, I'm not going to make funny jokes. Even Rachel is very, it's just something about Rachel that doesn't come off very hard-hitting. Anyways, back to the point. So, depending on the news you're reading from these three people, is the, we should say, the way your thought process will go. I'm thinking in my head of the even Lawrence. I like Lawrence O'Donnell. And I was just laughing because Lawrence gets a little feisty. But I could go. This isn't where I wanted the segment to go. I'm just breaking down the newscasts of why they are what they are and how they shape the news, and it will all come full circle. So you've got a couple stories that are in the press, and the way they have been manipulated is solely based on the way these groups want to shape your opinion and what their slant is. And most of them, it's to bash the president, bash the Democrats. And even though MSNBC leans to the left, they come from a position of wanting to be able to say, we are not left-leaning. We are right down the middle. And if the president messes up, we're there to pounce on him. And they don't ever want to be told that they're like Fox. You're just a mouthpiece for the Democrats. No. Instead of just saying, yeah, that's what we are the counterpunch to Fox. They don't like to admit that. Why? I have no idea. Because that's a liberal. Liberals are wishy-washy. All right, that's why I've said it here. I wish we had a Tea Party style movement amongst the Democrats in the liberal ranks of our government. I wish there was a Tea Party movement, a movement that was a little more middle, and that word progressive. Okay, great. Progressive is just another word for liberal, because liberal is something that gets thrown around by the Republicans as being evil. Liberal media. Just a bunch of liberal hipsters. Bunch of So progressive is just a harder word than liberal. Are you liberal? No, I'm not. I'm a progressive. Okay, whatever. If your hero is Elizabeth Warren and all you're talking about is student loans, you're a liberal, all right? You're not a progressive. So the new news that came out was the beheading of another American, okay? The beheading of another American. And if you see how these news channels cover the beheading and the emphasis that they're putting on the beheading, because you got to remember something, and let me throw this out there. In these past week or 3 weeks, remember, you've had the midterms, and again, you have an issue involving the Republicans controlling both houses or chambers of government, and yet nobody's bringing a vote on ISIS and our military involvement. Nobody's doing that. So again, an issue that is supposed to be the greatest threat to our existence is not something that is voted on. It's not something that's debated. As a matter of fact, the thing that the Republicans are saying is going to create a nuclear bomb to go off is that of immigration reform and the president taking executive action. And if you think about it, they're mad that the president's going to take executive action and create this sweeping immigration reform. But yet they're not mad that the president took a sweeping move and went to war in Syria and Iraq. That, not a big deal. That, totally cool. No need for a debate, no need to talk about it, no need to do anything of the sorts. But talking about immigration and doing something that Bush did and Reagan did, which basically was grant citizenship with conditions to a whole bunch of people that actually have children that are citizens, and basically take these people out from the shadows and say, here's what you got to do to become a citizen. You got to pay back taxes. You got to learn English. You got to pass a background check. You got to do all these things, and if you do that, I'm going to let you be a citizen. So something that Bush did, something that Reagan did, and right now Obama's going to do it, and that is causing the Republicans to basically state that there's going to be a bomb going off on Capitol Hill because of this. But ISIS, no vote, no conversation, no nothing. So ISIS has not been in the news because the American airstrikes that we've been hitting Syria and Iraq with have been working. Kobani, if any of you remember, not the yogurt, but the city of Kobani. A couple weeks ago, our favorite news organization, CNN, decided they were going to talk about Kobani as this bastion they basically put it on the same wavelength as Baghdad. It was this bastion of freedom and hope in the fight against ISIS, and ISIS was taking it over, and America was doing nothing about it, and they were going to let it fall, and blah, 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 blah. I mean, woo, CNN hammered and hammered and hammered and hammered and hammered. Well, in the past couple weeks with the midterms, nobody's heard really anything about Kobani or ISIS's march through the Middle East. They're taking over land. They're taking it, oh my, they're taking over oil fields. Well, the things you haven't heard was that the good guys, if you could call it that, but the Kurds and the Iraqi fighters took back the oil field. So ISIS doesn't control the oil field anymore. They took back Kobani. So ISIS was pushed out of Kobani. We had an unprecedented amount of airstrikes, which blew up a whole motorcade of cars, including al-Baghdadi. Yeah, their leader, al-Baghdadi, was wounded to the point where they're not sure if he's dead. They're not sure. It's almost kind of like all of the bin Laden talk. Did we kill him? Did we not kill him? Oh, he's still sending messages. He's on dialysis machine. You didn't know what was going on until we finally put a bullet in his head. So ultimately, these things you don't really hear, because that would show that ISIS is not this global threat, even though CNN and Fox keep hammering and telling you. And over the weekend, MSNBC got in on the act with Richard Engel, a reporter who went into Syria and decided to play dodgeball with ISIS bullets. And we could get to that in a little bit. But all of these things, nobody was talking about ISIS being beaten back. Because it doesn't serve everybody's interest. It doesn't serve the interest of all of these different news organizations, or the reporters that are out in the field doing something that needs to look over the top dangerous, and oh my God, look what's happening, and oh my, okay, great, yeah. So you haven't heard about ISIS. I take that back. You heard they were going to print money. They're going to print a coin. Yeah. Like one side, a truck blowing up, and the other side, somebody cutting someone's head off. That was basically their money that they're creating. So, over the weekend, ISIS, because there hasn't been anything good happening with them, and they've been getting their asses kicked in this past couple weeks, decided that they needed to cut someone's head off. And they did it in a quick, rushed way that was unlike the other beheadings. They basically did a video that shows them cutting off a whole bunch of Syrian rebel heads. And then it ends with the ISIS head cutter offer looking at the camera saying, Obama, you said you withdrew 4 years ago, but you didn't, you're evil, and now we killed another one of your people, and his name was Peter KASSIG. Arr, arr. And then he did another flex, and then the camera went black. So it was unlike the other videos that basically have the person, the hostage, sitting there, and he says a whole big speech. Hi, I'm so-and-so, and you're watching the ISIS Beheading Network. You're going to see blah, 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 blah. It was unlike that. It was kind of like this guy, Peter KASSIG, said, F you, I'm not doing nothing. Just cut my goddamn head off and get it over with. It's done. And that would make sense, because when you go through the history of who this Peter KASSIG was, it was almost as if his destiny was to end up like this, because his state of mind from the beginning was not exactly 100% for living and being happy and creating a life in America. So in turn, it's almost as if he wanted this to happen. Now, again, when I talk about people that get beheaded and things of this nature, I know I get a lot of crap. I know I get a lot of people who don't hear exactly what I'm saying and just go, oh, he's making light of these American soldiers or these journalists or whoever the hell it is being decapitated. We haven't had any soldiers decapitated. This technically is the first soldier that was decapitated, but that is deceiving, and I will bring this up. Because when you hear soldier, it's another way to get the propaganda machine going. Oh my God, they grabbed one of our soldiers and cut their head off, those evil bats. No, that's not what happened. Just don't play into this BS. So let me break down the Peter KASSIG situation for you. And again, don't email me and call me names and say I'm unsympathetic and all of this. I'm just breaking down the truth of these situations and saying that A, these are no reasons for us to either go to war or for us to get terrified here in California or New York that somehow these radical jihadists or ISIS are walking into our houses, kidnapping our wives or our kids and beheading them, because this is not happening. So here's the Peter KASSIG story. He joined the Army in 2006. He went to Iraq in 2007, and he was honorably discharged shortly after that for medical reasons. We don't know what medical reasons, but from what I'm reading and what I'll read to you, I think it might have had to do with a mental disorder. I think it had to do with mentally not being able to deal with being in Iraq and getting shot at and being in tanks and that type of thing. But that's just my opinion based off what I'm reading. So he was honorably discharged for medical reasons. He went back to college when he was in the United States. So when he enlisted in 06 and went to Iraq in 07, shortly after, he was honorably discharged for medical reasons. Don't know the medical reasons, but he was discharged. Once he came back to the United States, he went to college. But while in college, he wanted something more. He wanted to do something more with his life. So he trained to be a medical technician. So he left that college and what his major was and decided to train to be a medical technician. Now, the 2 years that followed, he fell in love. I know this sounds so tabloidish, but you have to know the complete story of what we're talking about when people are rah-rahing to send hundreds of thousands of troops to the Middle East again to fight because they hear an American soldier was beheaded. Because right now, this American soldier has a big backstory. And the notion that an American soldier got beheaded is not what is really here. American soldier got beheaded is somebody thinking an American soldier on his post gets kidnapped and then gets his head cut off. But as you see, this is not an American soldier that got beheaded. This is somebody that served in Iraq for about a year and got discharged for medical reasons. I have no idea why, but got discharged. So during his time training to be a medical technician, he fell in love, got married, and then quickly got divorced. Okay? He then went back to school hoping that this would shake this massive depression he was in. Because he fell into deep, deep depression. And while he was in school, he decided to get out of this depression, he needed a game changer. He needed something that would really snap him out of this depression. So, let's stop there and now reverse it. So, In '06, he went to Iraq. A year later, he was honorably discharged for medical reasons. Don't know why, but he was honorably discharged for medical reasons. He came back, went to school. As we could see, he wasn't really sure exactly what he wanted to do because there was no definite, this is what I'm doing to pursue this career. While in school, he decided his major wasn't fulfilling enough and decided to be a medical technician. During this time, he met a girl, fell in love, got married, then quickly got divorced. Got into a huge depressive state, went back to school, and could not shake the depressive state, and then decided he needed a game changer. What was that game changer? He would go to Turkey. Yes, he would go to Turkey because that's the hub to get into Syria. So, he would go to Turkey and set up emergency response team, which consisted of himself. And he would provide support to refugees and people fleeing Syria because ISIS was trying to cut their heads off. So he was going to help people that were on the verge of getting their heads cut off for all practical purposes. And while he was doing this, on October 1st, he was captured on his way to eastern Syria. Eastern Syria. So he's on his way to eastern Syria, got captured, and they had him convert to Islam. And he went by the name of Abdul Rahman. And over the weekend, they cut his head off. End of story. There you go. Now, when you break that story down, that's not an American soldier. Granted, he served in Iraq for a year, but the time he served in Iraq to the time he decided he was going to go to eastern Syria and run around and help fight ISIS as a medical technician, because ultimately when you're there in that capacity, ISIS looks at you as an enemy. You're helping people that they're trying to kill. You're helping rebels that they're fighting. So 06, 07 to 2013, talking about 6 or 7 years, he was removed from being a military soldier. So the notion that a military soldier got beheaded by ISIS is BS. So let's not start revving up the sea helicopters and sea ships to send into Syria because ISIS is going to kill us all, and they've started with our military personnel. Not even close. We're not even there. And my feeling is, this guy, Peter KASSIG, and again, it's not belittling him in any way, but he wouldn't be dead if he didn't go to Syria. And when we, as a nation, get all crazy because CNN and Fox and MSNBC have to put out there that ISIS is back and strong and look what they're doing, and oh my God, they're going to kill us all, is quite the opposite of what's happening. Because when you break it all down, ISIS has been getting their asses handed to them for weeks and weeks and weeks. And what this shows is them basically going, we got to kill somebody. We got to get back out there and show the Americans that we're still viable and we're still strong. So let's kill someone. So they went and said, we'll grab you. And he went, F you. What do you think? I didn't know this was going to happen? I'm the one that gave up my really good life in the United States and came here running around knowing in the back of my head that I could get captured or killed. And should that happen, I will now take my place amongst a bunch of other people that will be remembered as somebody that got their head cut off by this radical Islamic group that sparked another Middle East war between the United States. That ultimately was my purpose, not outwardly, but subconsciously in the back of my mind. I know that's real cynical to say, but again, let's face it, guys. When in 2011, you decide that you can't shake the depression that you're in because you just got a divorce from your true love, and now you're going to just go and give everything up in the United States to run around in Syria and help rebels, bandaging them up. If you even read, he wasn't a doctor. He basically had a limited amount of medical training as far as real trauma. So if they had broken arms and were bleeding out from gunshot wounds, he couldn't do nothing to fix them as far as that went. What he could do was, oh wow, you got a really bad scrape on your knee. Ooh, let me bandage that up for you. Oh, you need some water because you haven't drank anything in 2 days. Here's a bottle of Evian, blah, 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 blah. So that was the extent of his doctoring help. So again, who, as you've heard before, when you see Evel Knievel jump over the Grand Canyon or jump over Caesar's palace and they get into a crash and they break all their bones, and people are like, that guy had a death wish. That guy had a death wish. Peter KASSIG had a death wish. He was depressed. He was overly depressed. He couldn't shake his divorce. So what did he do? I'm going to go to Syria and go put Band-Aids on rebels. What are you, effing nuts? And then he got kidnapped. And then eventually that led to him telling ISIS, F you, cut my head off. Do your thing. So I could basically be a martyr. When we hear that word martyr, we don't want to play up Bin Laden. We don't want to bury him or give him. We're going to throw him in the water. We don't want him to be a martyr. We don't want where he is buried to be a martyr. Well, it's the same thing of the Peter KASSIG. They're martyrs. Peter KASSIG went to Syria to be a martyr. Any of these guys went over in these dangerous areas to be martyrs. When I look at Richard Engel, okay, and Richard Engel is literally in Syria, and he's talking to his camera guy, and he's like, okay, we're going to run across where these tents are. Those tents are shielding people running from the ISIS soldiers that will fire in. And now he's like, okay, here we go. Okay, we're getting ready. Let's go. and you see Richard Engel with a bulletproof vest on, a metal helmet, running and dodging to get shot at from ISIS. He gets across, oh, okay, that's going to be the last time we're going to be in this type of situation. Like, why? Why are you doing that? What's the payoff? What's the payoff? To show everybody in America and around the world how dangerous it is? Again, everybody knows how dangerous Syria is. Everybody knows how dangerous the Middle East is. From the Iraq War, when we legitimately had soldiers being beheaded and cut up and dragged in the street. Legitimate soldiers, not workers that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars as contractors. And they get kidnapped and everybody goes, oh my God. And I say, F you. You went into that area as a paid worker, and you didn't have to. You could have stayed here in the United States. You went there. F you. Our American soldiers had no choice. An 18, 19-year-old kid enlists in the army, and they go, hey, you're being deployed to Baghdad. And you know, oh, F. Boom, he's there. Next thing he knows, he gets kidnapped, he gets his head cut off, and gets his body dragged in the street. That's real heavy, evil crap that makes my heart go out and bleed. But a contractor? F you. Some kid who's upset because his wife and him divorced, so now he's going to go to Syria and be a martyr? F you. And now the United States is going to get into the war even more because we're outraged over an American whose head was cut off? F you. Your head wouldn't have been cut off if you didn't go to Syria to put bandages on rebels. F you. The death wish. That's sitting there going, no one loves me. My wife doesn't love me. I'm just gonna leave this country. That's it. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to Syria and I'm gonna help. Put bandages on the rebels, and what's the worst that could happen? I get kidnapped and I get put out of my misery by some ISIS guy. If they kidnap me, you know what I'll do? I'll look at them and I'll say, F you. You think I'm afraid to die? I'm not afraid to die. I'm not reading anything you want me to read. I effing came here to die. My life is crap back home. I lost my wife. I got nothing. I got nowhere else to go. And the ISIS guy was like, oh, Jesus. Crack. Hey, America, you're not going to... What a big baby this guy was. He was... So we had to show these other people we cut their heads off. This guy, yeah, okay. I mean, there you go. That's what I get from all of this. Now, I know, if I was on a Cumulus radio network, if I was on Westwood One, I would probably have been fired right now. They probably would have said the comments you made about that American who was killed, we just have to let you go for that. because you can't say things like that. And I say, F you. F you. It's the truth. It's the truth. We can't be led by CNN and Fox and MSNBC. We can't be led into wars over things that once broken down, the average person would go, yeah, Rob, you're right. But we get into these wars because they are built up with a headline, American soldier beheaded. No, American soldier was not beheaded. A guy who broke up with his wife, who went to Syria, he was beheaded. And yes, it's horrible. And it's horrible that his family lost him. But once again, let's not confuse this with a precursor to getting us into more of a war. It's an injustice to the American people. It's an injustice to the families that have children who are actually in the military now. It's an injustice for them to all of a sudden get sent to Syria, as they would say, boots on the ground, to fight over Peter KASSIG getting his head cut off by ISIS because he elected to leave the United States because he couldn't shake the depression he was in from his wife and him divorcing and going to Syria and basically getting kidnapped. The real injustice and the real tragedy would be an American soldier dying in Syria because of Peter KASSIG, because of Foley, because of these guys that volunteered to go to Syria. That's the real injustice. That's why I sit here and I say these things that at first listen, you go, oh my God, and you gasp and go, why is he's like making fun. And I say these things because hopefully it will put in perspective the injustice of having our American soldiers being sent to Syria to fight because of Peter KASSIG, because of Foley, because of these journalists and guys that are broken up with their wives that are going to Syria to either, again, you don't really know why. And what they're doing is no different than somebody jumping over flaming barrels. No different than anybody doing, no different than Steve-O sticking a fish hook in his mouth and jumping in the water and being used as human bait while a shark tries to bite him. It's no different. It's no different. You could say, well, Peter KASSIG is trying to help what? Help soldiers from Syria? Why? Well, how does any of that help the United States of America? It doesn't. It harms the United States of America because it creates this groundswell so that people can get fooled by CNN reporting and MSNBC reporting and Fox reporting into believing that we have American soldiers posted up in these areas in the Middle East, and ISIS is kidnapping them, killing them, and that is why we need to go to war. And that's not happening. So, in turn, them going over to Syria, being a photographer, going into Syria, actually sitting down with different radical leaders, crossing your fingers that they won't kill you, and they'll look at you like, oh, you're a journalist, you're going to get our message out there. It's no different than Steve-O jumping in the water with a fish hook in his mouth, and he's doing that for TV, he's doing that for money, he's doing that for fame, he's doing that, as he would say, as part of his job. So in turn, him doing something ludicrous and possibly dying is no different than going to Syria and saying, I'm going to put this Band-Aid on the Syrian rebels' boo-boo and give them a bottle of water. It's the same concept. Except Steve-O and any accident he has, or a death from some daredevil, doesn't invoke the United States to get into war. We don't get into war for stupid Americans doing stupid stunts in the United States. So, when I talk like this, it's to prevent our American soldiers from going to war, because people like Peter KASSIG, who was in deep depression, left to go to Syria hoping that that would get him out of his funk. It's the Rob Black Show, and we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about some other interesting things that transpired over the weekend, like our favorite topic. Well, one of our favorite topics is Ebola. Yes, Ebola. And another way the media is trying to prop Ebola up to get people spooked out about it again. Because after the last round of Ebola, and everybody went, Ebola is really just a bad cold. CNN, Fox, MSNBC, they got a little depressed. And with this new Ebola death and the information coming out, CNN jumped on and said, this is our chance. Let's get this hype machine going. Yeehaw! So when we come back, we'll discuss that. It's the Rob Black Show. And we're back in about 4 minutes. Oh, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Adjust all the mics and all that good stuff. How are ya? We're here at the big desk. This is the big desk. This is where all the big action happens. It is. This is where all the excitement happens. Let me get on the old. Oh, gosh. All right. I got my ear pierce. I got my ear pierce. I got my ear pierce on. I got my ear pierce. I'm on. All right, so we're back, and we are. We are talking about what is going on in this wonderful world, and we were talking about ISIL. That's what we were talking about, and the Peter KASSIG video or non-video, the fact that they basically put it together in such a way that shows that ISIL is as they would say, on the run. They've been on the run. But don't forget, and I said it in the beginning of the show, you're talking about a group that got blasted with unprecedented amount of airstrikes about a week ago. Baghdadi is wounded. They even say that Jihadi John could possibly be dead. Again, you don't hear that on CNN or Fox or MSNBC because it doesn't play into their scenarios. All you hear about is the ISIS and all of these horrible things, and they're coming to kill us all, and Kobani's took it over, and oil fields. And then when they do report on ISIS getting their asses handed, it's some quickie broadcast piece that lasts about 2 minutes, and then they move on. So the new story, and this is the example of CNN and where they stand as far as putting fear into America. CNN, where they stand on making Americans terrified and, in turn, hating the president because he basically caused all of this disease. So if you go to CNN and you go to their network, their TV network, you will see a headline that says, "Doctor is second U.S. Ebola fatality." It's pretty strong, right? That's a pretty strong headline. Doctor is second U.S. Ebola fatality. Now, when you hear that headline, what does that conjure up for you? What do you understand that to be? I'll give you a minute. Maybe I'll give you 20 seconds. Forget a minute. It makes it sound like a doctor, because remember, we just came off the heels of Dr. Spencer, who is an American from New York City, who would go to Sierra Leone, you go to West Africa for a month at a time and treat sick Ebola people. He would then come back to the United States and resume his life. And he got Ebola, came back to the United States, and we all know the story. Went bowling, went to dinner, wound up coming down with Ebola, went to Bellevue Hospital, and in about a week was fixed right up, and he was just discharged, all cool, all happy, all huggy with the mayor, and all is good. And now, that is what we know, and that is what we would presume is the circumstances when you hear CNN say, "Doctor is second U.S. Ebola fatality." So you're thinking, oh, a Dr. Spencer situation. Oh my God. Oh my God. Ebola's back. It's a situation like the nurse in Maine. She went to Liberia. She worked with some Ebola people, came back to the United States. She didn't have Ebola, but lo and behold, this nurse must have had Ebola, and they died. Oh my God. Oh my God. Again, I'm not speaking out of turn. I'm not making things up. I'm going by what the headline says, which is, and I repeat, doctor is second U.S. Ebola fatality. And then the other headline states, second time Ebola has claimed a victim in the United States. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Now, let's go through the real facts, shall we? Because again, CNN is just trying to drum up, along with Fox, they're just trying to drum up the Ebola scare because they can attach that somehow to the president. Remember, Ted Cruz's own people tweeted Ebola is because of Obamacare. So remember that. Again, I'm not making this up. This is a Ted Cruz staffer who tweeted this. Let's give the facts. The person in question's name is Dr. Martin Asalia. You ready? He arrived in Nebraska at the medical facility there on Saturday. 44-year-old Sierra Leone citizen who also lived in Maryland. He was the chief medical officer of a hospital in Sierra Leone. He had legal residence, legal permanent residence here in the U.S., which means he had a green card. He was a citizen of Sierra Leone and spent his time going to Maryland and Sierra Leone. So he would spend X amount of months in Sierra Leone, and then he would spend some time over here in Maryland. But he was a citizen of Sierra Leone. He was born in West Africa. He lived in West Africa. He eventually got his green card in the United States and then had a family here. So, right off the bat, the notion that this doctor is the same as Dr. Spencer goes right out the window. Secondly, Dr. Martin Cilia caught Ebola in Sierra Leone. He caught Ebola a few weeks ago in Sierra Leone. He became sick in Sierra Leone. He became really, really sick in Sierra Leone. His vital organs started to shut down in Sierra Leone. He was then flown here to the United States, the hospital in Nebraska, with the hope that they could save his life. When they got to him here at the hospital in Nebraska, they did all they could do, but by all accounts, his organs were in extremely bad shape. he was so far past being able to be helped, he died shortly after arriving. So, the CNN report of a second time Ebola has claimed a victim in the United States is completely misleading, because this doctor got Ebola in Sierra Leone. He had it in Sierra Leone. He was trying to fight it in Sierra Leone. He was then brought to the United States, where he died within a day after arriving. And to say, as a headline, Ebola has claimed another victim in the United States is completely misleading. Completely misleading. He was basically dead, if you want to be technical, in Sierra Leone. They just basically brought his body here for the final day to die. And that's it. And to say that that constitutes Ebola claiming a victim in the United States is completely misleading. That's like the old notion that if you commit a crime in a certain state and cross the imaginary borderline into another state, the authorities from that state can't come across that border and get you. Or traveling from Mexico to the United States, and once you cross that border, either side can't get you. Like some weird crime movie where you're running in the car and you go, if we could just make it to the border, and they skid over the border, and all of a sudden everybody puts down their weapons and goes, darn, they escaped. You're driving from Texas to Arizona. You're driving from California to Arizona, and you just hit that border, and everybody in Arizona goes, oh, darn, we got to stop. They made it across that border. I mean, that's... hey, guess what, everybody? Ebola's claimed a victim in the United States. Really? You're going to count flying practically a dead guy from Sierra Leone and putting him in a hospital in Nebraska for a day and a half, and him dying as Ebola claiming a victim in the United States? Are you effing serious, CNN? Are you effing serious, Fox? Are you guys serious? This is what you're going to try to I mean, if this doesn't show you, ladies and gentlemen, that the media, led by CNN, ain't against Democrats and the president, and they don't try to I don't know what else is. When a headline states, Doctor is the second U.S. Ebola fatality. No, it's not. This doctor, okay, this doctor who, if you, again, want to split hairs, was born in Sierra Leone and spent most of his time in Sierra Leone. He had a green card here in the United States. This wasn't a Dr. Spencer. This wasn't a Nancy Wright Bolt. This wasn't somebody who got Ebola from the nurse in Maine. This is somebody who spends more than 50% of their time in Sierra Leone. For Christ's sakes, he was the chief medical officer of a hospital in Sierra Leone. You don't become the chief medical officer for a hospital in Sierra Leone if you don't spend most of your time there. Granted, a green card states you have some claims of being a citizen in the United States, but let's face it, it's not the same as being a Dr. Spencer, somebody that goes to Sierra Leone for a couple weeks, and he does this once a year because that makes him feel good that he's donating his time, or he does it twice a year. However many times he does it, he's not a chief medical physician at a Sierra Leone hospital. He wasn't born in Sierra Leone. That's not where he has family. So, once again, for CNN to put a headline up that says, "Doctor is the second U.S. Ebola fatality," is extremely misleading. For them to say it's the second time Ebola has claimed a victim in the United States is extremely misleading. Flying a dead person from Sierra Leone, putting them in a hospital in Nebraska, and then a day later they are officially pronounced dead. That concept cannot be heralded as an Ebola claiming the victim in the United States. That is BS. That is running across the border and saying that nobody can get you because you're in a different state. It's the same concept. Complete BS. And it's just another example of CNN trumping up hysteria because it serves their purpose. There's handfuls of other things that are going on in the United States that CNN, or in the world, that CNN should be talking about, but they're not. Earlier this morning, I was sitting there watching CNN, and all they talked about was the second U.S. doctor to die of Ebola, and the beheading of Peter KASSIG. Nowhere did I hear them do a report on the fact that Europe was getting ready to put sanctions on Israel for Israel's occupation in the West Bank. I think that's a pretty big story. I think a whole bunch of European companies getting ready to pull out of doing business in Israel is a pretty big story. I think it's a lot bigger than Ebola claiming the life of a guy who was already dead on an airplane trip to Nebraska. But CNN's not covering that. CNN's not covering that. Matter of fact, Wolf Blitzer is not even in the studio today. They got this other right-wing Republican replacement. CNN is so biased when it comes to the news and it comes to the right-wing propaganda. It's sickening. It's sickening. Talk about the NFL and the DEA raids on a bunch of different teams over the weekend. I think it's a pretty big story. Never has that happened in the history of sports, to have the federal government's drugs administration come in on a whole bunch of teams. When I say a whole bunch of teams, 3 to me is a bunch. 3 is a bunch. And basically investigate their doctors, look through their paperwork. I mean, literally, the DEA visited different teams who were playing on the road. San Francisco 49ers were in New York playing the Giants, and the DEA visited the San Francisco 49ers locker room. They visited the San Francisco 49ers visitors' offices. I mean, that's a big deal. They didn't go to the home team. They went to the visitors. They checked their doctors, make sure they had licenses that were legal with being able to prescribe controlled substances. I mean, this is big news. CNN? Nope. Nope. That's not important because it doesn't affect the president. No way, shape, or form. The European Union creating sanctions and boycotting Israel. Nope, not going to report on that. Doesn't affect the president. Ebola and ISIS are 2 things that they could somehow tie to the president and tie to the Democrats, and CNN could say the Democrats caused Ebola. The president caused Ebola. Here's Ebola claiming the life of another doctor in the U.S. Go thank President Obama. Here's ISIS beheading an American soldier. Go blame the president. Go blame the Democrats. That's CNN's modus operandi. Plain and simple. It's amazing. So I'm glad that we here at the Rob Black Show can actually tell you the truth when it comes to Ebola and what is happening with Ebola and the truth of Ebola and the notion that it's here and killing U.S. citizens and all of these things that CNN is telling you is a complete BS, because it's a little bit more detailed than that. It's a little bit more detailed than that. Again, you could say that CNN's not lying, but their headlines and what they're saying are misleading. And sure, I know people are going to say to me, well, Rob, that's what journalism is. That's what the news is. That's what TV reporting is. It's about sensationalism. It's about misleading the viewer or the reader. It's about hyping things up. So ultimately, their agenda gets out there, and the way they want that slant to be is done exactly the way their executives or the person pulling the strings says it needs to be. So I get that. I get people saying that to me, going, don't be so naive. I get that. But that's why we're here and holding their feet to that fire, saying the people that listen to us, the people that read our blogs, are not going to be fooled, and they're going to know the truth. Granted, we're outnumbered, I don't know, maybe 4 million to 100,000. But hey, our 100,000 are educated. Our 100,000 are smart. Our 100,000 won't be blinded by CNN's BS light. So that is the Ebola truth. And that is the Ebola news. So what else is on the top of the news information highway is the Michael Brown audio recordings that have been coming out involving Darren Wilson and the whole notion of the altercation taking place for literally less than, I think they're saying 90 seconds, I think it is. I think it's about 90 seconds is the length of the new Darren Wilson information that's coming out, along with the fact that they have video of Darren Wilson going to quote unquote the hospital. I think that's what they're calling it. They have basically a shot. And what I mean by a shot, they have surveillance video that was obtained by the news media, so to speak, and it shows Darren Wilson with his union rep and another high-ranking officer from Ferguson in the police offices there in Ferguson, and he goes to the hospital. And it's apparent that they basically said, hey, we got to have you go to the hospital. We got to basically cover all the bases and make sure that we have a case. That's why I'm here, your rep. That's why your captain's here. That's why we are here, to make sure everything is done properly. And remember, the first reports that came out of the police department was that Officer Darren Wilson had a fractured face. He had a fractured orbital bone. Remember, when all this happened, that's what you heard from the right-wing media. That's the talking points, that he had a fractured orbital bone. His face was badly beaten from the altercation with Mike Brown. And as videos were leaked from the scene showing Officer Wilson walking with another officer, and they're looking at Mike Brown's body and they're talking, it was obvious that he didn't have all of these facial fractures. Granted, the video wasn't a close-up and it wasn't crystal clear because they're phone recordings. But for all intents and purposes, somebody with fractures to their face would be at a doctor immediately. And we've discussed this before. The George Zimmerman case, when the Trayvon Martin shooting occurred and Zimmerman claimed, hey, I got messed up. I got punched in the face. I'm bleeding. There were ambulances there, and there were pictures taken of George Zimmerman that showed his nose bloody, the back of his head bloody. I mean, you actually had pictures that were put out there saying, okay, if you don't believe the story, we can at least show you that some of the story has to be true because look at the guy. So they actually put out things when they're claiming, this is what happened with Trayvon. I was afraid for my life. I mean, when you break down, and here's what you have to remember. If the general consensus is that George Zimmerman acted wrong in killing Trayvon Martin, and here's all the evidence to support what happened. And on the George Zimmerman side, him supporting his own facts as to why he did what he did and why it was self-defense. If you look at all of these things, they are all completely opposite of the Ferguson situation. And if you have to base your opinion on the Trayvon Martin case and what you saw, what you heard, what you knew, and apply that to Ferguson, then you have to say the same thing on Ferguson. Apply what you see, apply what you know, apply what you hear, and take each individual piece. Zimmerman, afraid for his life, shot Trayvon Martin one time. So take that for whatever it's worth. Officer Wilson, afraid for his life, shot Mike Brown 7 times, 8 times. George Zimmerman was in a fight. Shows pictures of his face bloody, back of his head bloody. Officer Wilson says he was in a fight. Facial fractures. Not one picture of Officer Wilson with any marks on his face whatsoever. Not even pictures. Think about that. If his face was so effed up, the police would have took pictures. Police would have took pictures. They would have took pictures and said, look at this guy's face. Look. This is a guy's face of getting beaten up by a big black guy. Brr. Nothing. So when you saw videos of Wilson walking with the other cop near the body and you didn't see any facial issues, and you sat there and said, plus, he's not even going to the hospital. If his face is so effed up, he wouldn't be walking around with another police officer looking at a dead body. And with this new video released from the police department, there's nothing wrong with this guy. Shows him with his union rep, there's nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with him. And then the other big bombshell, and I think it's a bombshell because it shows, again, that the police are lying. And if they're lying about this, then they gotta be lying about the shooting. Let's face it. You can't say, well, they're dishonest on this one aspect, but they're honest on this aspect. You can't do that. Once you're lying about a situation, you have to be completely BSing about everything. Now remember, the story is Darren Wilson stops Mike Brown and his friend because they're basically jaywalking. They're in the street. Officer Wilson's driving by, and he's like, "Hey, get out of the street, guys. Get out of the street. Stop playing in the street." And the kids basically say, yeah, we'll get out when we want to get out. That's the story. That's the story. The police chief said Wilson never stopped those kids thinking that they were involved in any type of robbery. But now you have these recordings coming out, and you have police dispatchers talking, and you actually have them talking about a robbery that happened at a convenience store. They talk about the people that fit the description. It then goes to different police officers talking, and Wilson talking about if they need him to go to that situation. And then it even has another conversation where it's referencing the stopping of the kids, Mike Brown and the friend, based on the robbery, based on Wilson knowing about the robbery. So all of these things are completely opposite of what we were told in the beginning. In the beginning, the things that we're being told is completely opposite of what we are now hearing on these 9/11 dispatch calls and video of Wilson being in the police headquarters with his union rep and captain or whatever authority was there, lieutenant, something. So, again, if you're seeing lies come out of the Ferguson Police Department from day one, so they're telling a story from day one that now you're getting a different story, and it's basically falling in that lying path. You have to make the conclusion that everything they're talking about, as far as, he reached for my gun, he grabbed my gun, I was afraid for my life, all of these things are bullshit. If the simple theory of the police chief of Ferguson saying Wilson had no idea about the robbery, he wasn't stopping the kids for the robbery, he was just a guy driving his patrol, helping little old ladies across the street. That's all BS. Wilson knew about the robbery. Wilson commented about the robbery. Wilson knew everything about those kids. And when I say everything about, he knew they weren't just two kids walking, jaywalking or hanging out in the street. He already had an idea of what was going to happen and what was going to go down. And for this huge BS game to be played makes you question everything else that Ferguson has said about the incident. So, again, this Ferguson situation is going to be huge. This Ferguson situation is got all the makings of the LA riots times 10. LA riots times 10. Because from day one, they've been setting up that Officer Wilson is going to get off. That Officer Wilson's not going to get charged. From day one, they've been selling this. And I would bet by the end of the week, you're going to hear the verdict from that grand jury. So, these are all the things that CNN could really be covering from the nation in the European nations sanctioning Israel to truly what's happening in Ferguson, but instead you're talking about Ebola. We're talking about a lot of other things instead of trying to paint Ebola on the president. It's the Rob Black Show. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by the pop culture diva. Yes. Yes. You know her by Katie Summers. I know her by the pop culture diva. So, when we come back, we'll jump into that here at the Rob Black Show. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Rob Black Show. That's done. It's all done. I gotta move all my stuff here, guys. I know, but we're joined right now by none other than the pop culture. Hold on, I'm moving the folder. The pop culture diva.
Hello. How was it me that made that noise?
Well, that was awesome.
He said hi.
That was
He's
awesome.
like, oh, it's me. Hi.
So, pop culture diva, how are you? Tell us how you are. Tell us about your awesome life.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
How was your weekend?
Well, my weekend was good.
You look very handsome.
Oh, well, thank you. You look beyond handsome. Is handsome only used for guys?
Well, it's a masculine word.
It's a masculine word. You look very beautiful, and I must say that you look very young and fresh today.
Why, thank you.
Like, you look younger than normal. I think it's because your hair?
Maybe.
Because you have your hair pulled back in a way?
Well, I only have it pulled back because I washed it yesterday. I don't really blow dry my hair. And there's a paper eater. Don't eat that.
You don't really...
I don't blow dry my hair, and it kind of like frizzes out where I look like I have an afro.
Mhm.
And since I it dried, and then I slept on it, and I woke up and my hair is kind of like all over the place.
Okay.
So I was like, ooh, I gotta put it up. So I put it up.
Okay. Well, I like your hair. I think your hair looks very beautiful. Looks very young. You look very fresh. Did you do anything exciting over the weekend?
I did.
What did you do?
I Saturday went to the Grove. Had some awesome Italian food.
Okay.
Did a little shopping. Got some tank tops.
Oh, you did?
I gotta get some. I gotta go back to Forever 21 because they have awesome stuff.
Okay.
Like awesome new stuff for like winter. I need a sweater dress, and I want one of their faux fur jackets.
in a faux fur jacket.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Sunday, watched football. Bears won. Woo! And went and saw Flash, the drum movie, which was good.
Yeah. How did you? What was it about? What was the whole
Jazz.
premise? Just jazz?
Well, about this kid who's a college student and he gets into one of the prestigious jazz music schools. Should we say top music schools? And they have a really good jazz program with a really amazing jazz teacher. And it's about this kid becoming the best, like Buddy Rich. And he's like, or is it Billy Rich? It's Buddy Rich.
Buddy
right?
Rich.
Yeah. And he's like, he's the all-time greatest drummer, and I want to be just like Buddy Rich. And it's just about him trying to make himself be the best of the 20th century. That's what the movie's about.
Okay. Did you like it?
I did. It was very entertaining. It was the first time I got to see J.K. Summing.
I don't even know. I just know him as Schillinger from the show Oz. I don't know him.
I know him from Juno's dad.
You know him as
That's
Juno's
how I
dad,
know him.
Or he does those insurance commercials.
Yes.
What is it? Progressive? Not Progressive. Progressive is the girl.
Yeah, that's car insurance.
Yeah, but he does those.
He does.
I
thought he did life insurance.
Is it life insurance?
I
It's
thought so.
insurance.
I've only seen him do one insurance commercial. I haven't, like, all the commercials I've seen, I don't really pay attention to, but the ones I have seen, I've seen him like in one or two insurance-y type commercials.
I don't know what his last name. I don't know what his last name is. I know him as Schillinger, the white supremacy leader
And
from Oz.
I mean, he's also in another movie that I can't think of that I've seen him in recently. I don't remember the name of it. Like, he was in like one of those family movies.
Yeah.
Where he did like, he was a dad again, but I don't remember which one it was, and it wasn't Juno.
Women and Children. Women and Children. He's the anorexic daughter's
Yes,
dad.
that one. Men, Women, and Children.
Men, Women, and Children.
Yeah, that's right. He is and then he's also in another movie where he's a dad. I always see him as a dad.
Yeah, he plays.
And he plays the goofy dad.
Yeah, he plays the dad, and it's very funny, and it's almost like he had to do that because he's naturally the character you saw in Whiplash, because he was that character for like 7 years on the show Oz.
Yeah.
So for all these years on Oz, he was this white supremacist, just horrific person named Schillinger. And he was bad. Like, he was horrible. I mean, he was literally horrible. Horrible. Rape dudes. He was horrible.
Ooh.
So from there, he must have abandoned that those acting roles, and people just put him in. All right, we're gonna have you be like Juno's dad, and it took a certain amount of time, and now he's, he can kind of be the nasty character again.
Yeah.
Because the character he plays in that Whiplash movie as the hard ass music teacher that's his Schillinger character, how he has the all black shirt. You see his kind of muscles, and that's Schillinger. In Oz, he has the tight white shirt on and the khaki pants. He walked around like this, and had.
Does he look the same?
It looks the exact same.
That's funny.
Had guys dressed in makeup, whereas like bitches. Oh yeah.
I need to watch Oz. I never seen Oz.
Yeah. Schillinger.
And I told him last night I thought it was like some fantasy island type movie.
No.
Like a Shutter Island
Yeah.
esque fantasy world. I don't know. That's what I thought it was. But yeah. And so that's what happened this weekend.
All right. Sounds exciting.
It does. Now you ready for some news?
I'm ready for news.
Are you ready for news?
Give me news! Give me news!
So, Bono, singer U2, he's getting surgery on his arm for a bicycle accident.
What's up with that? What happened?
He was riding his bike and fell in Central Park. And U2 is scheduled to do a week-long Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon every night show all this week. And they canceled it to promote their new album. And they canceled it because Bono has to get surgery and they want him to be completely recovered.
Isn't that... It's so weird. It's so weird because Metallica is doing a week-long show with Craig Ferguson, which is weird. That Craig Ferguson, who's going to be done,
Yeah.
Metallica's doing the same thing with Craig Ferguson, a week-long
Residency shows.
appearance. I didn't know U2 was going to be doing the same thing.
I don't know either.
That's wild, man. Okay, well, it always baffled me how people, and Bono is not any different as far as celebrities go. They get in bike riding act. Like, how do you get hurt on a bike? First off, I haven't rode a bike since I was like 12. That's number one. Number two, how do you get hurt riding a bike? Like, I get it. If Bono was in New York City and he was like a delivery guy, like you see those movies where they're on the 10-speed and they have no brakes and they're delivery guys, and they actually had a TV show, and back in the day, 60 Minutes, and people did specials on these delivery guys, how they rode through the city, and dangerous to deliver packages. I get it, but how do you do it if you're just, I'm gonna go, I don't know how to talk like I'm from Ireland, but I'm gonna go and ride my bike. Like, what do you do? How do you fall off your effing bike as a grown man who's riding for fun? How? I don't get it. But other people have done it. Oh, biking accident. George Bush. I get how George Bush, but he had gotten into a biking accident. Like, how do you get hurt on a bike? It's a bike.
And I'm like, how do you get hurt so bad you have to get surgery? And they won't, and like, I try to see like what happened there. How did he fall? Earlier reports wouldn't disclose how he, like, what exactly happened. Was he drunk riding?
Yeah, I wonder if that's the case.
Does it say he was drunk riding?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought you were Googling.
No, I'm actually going ahead.
Oh, okay. So,
I believe it or not, I was looking on the news thing for Metallica's. It starts tonight.
yeah.
Metallica on Craig Ferguson, November 17th, a Monday, and played through that Friday.
Like, are they gonna show them play, or on TV? Are they gonna
Yeah.
show them play, or is it like?
Metallica says they'll play a song on the show every night for a week to commemorate Ferguson's time as host.
I'm surprised they didn't.
And it's to promote their 10th anniversary re-release of some kind of monster. So they're re-releasing some kind of monster documentary, which is being released November 24th. That's it. But they're really got nothing else to sell or nothing to promote except for the DVD. And they're purely hanging at Craig's personal request to chill. So starting tonight, Metallica will be on Craig Ferguson. So 12:30 at night, we're gonna have to watch Metallica on Craig Ferguson.
Is it at 12:30 Eastern or Pacific?
Well, depending on where the F you live.
No, because...
Yeah, if you're on the West Coast, baby.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that they do it different. I always think Central timing. Horrible.
No, we're not in Texas.
No, I know, but I always think, because I always think it's all the same.
Yeah, no. So, whether you're on the East Coast or West Coast, it's 12:30. That's the time Craig Ferguson comes on. So, starting tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Metallica will be on Craig Ferguson. Late night with Craig Ferguson, 12:30. They'll be doing a song a night, which is going to be badass. It's going to be 5 songs. I mean, that's a lot of live Metallica. Think about it. So that's what U2 was supposed to. Wow. So U2 was supposed to do that this week.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? That's wild.
I don't know why.
So
I mean, I don't promote their album, but it's like, why the same week that Metallica?
Yeah, isn't that weird? So
unless theirs was a surprise show and then it got ruined because of this, and they're like, oh, we had this whole surprise plan and like fell through.
And it's not like they were competing against each other, because Fallon's on at 11:30 to 12:30, and Ferguson's on from 12:30 to 1:30.
Yeah.
Fallon's NBC, Ferguson CBS. So, anyways, Metallica tonight, ladies and gentlemen, 12:30. Craig Ferguson, be there, watch it. All right. What else, baby?
Bill Cosby.
Bill! I wish I could do a Bill Cosby imitation.
Has been, well, just shake your head, and there's the newest imitation of him. So he doesn't want to talk about anything.
All right, Bill Cosby.
So Bill Cosby appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there's no mentions of rape allegations because they're basically, like, you can't talk about that. And also, the lawyers are like, this stuff is like a decade old and kind of over the limit, like over the...
Statute, yeah. It's over.
So it's like, so why? It's like, this thing happened 30 years ago. And the woman, Barbara Bowman, is coming out 30 years later saying that when she was 19, she woke up after being unconscious with a white t-shirt on and Bill Cosby telling her everything's going to be okay, and saying that he raped her and has hung out with him more on one occasion, saying that he was her mentor, that he would be her mentor, because she wrote a huge op in Washington Post that went viral, that everyone's like, ooh. And this isn't the first time. He's had over a dozen women say, since like dating back to 2005, saying that he drugged and raped these women like many years ago. So yeah, that's what's going on. Bill Cosby.
I find it kind of bizarre though. This stuff happened so long ago, and it's one girl who's legitimately coming out and has been vocal about this, and everybody is running with it. Like, it's really damning stuff to accuse somebody of this, and being Bill Cosby, it's even more like impactful. And the fact that people are running with these stories as if it's 100% true. Like, oh, Bill Cosby raped you? Okay, tell us the story. It's just, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, can anybody just say, oh, I was raped by George Bush?
Yeah.
Okay, you were? Yep, I was raped by George Bush. Okay, let's do a story and we'll run it in all the news. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just weird. Again, I'm not necessarily defending Mr. Pudding, but I would like to know more of the story than just some girl saying 30 years ago, Bill Cosby raped me. Okay. So that's your claim, yep. Okay. And why is it getting all of this attention? I don't know. It's just weird.
It's just a very kind of sticky.
And the fact that this girl still hung around with Bill Cosby. So it wasn't just rape and done. It was rape, and let's still hang out. Some more rape. Let's hang out. So, like, she was friends with Bill Cosby for a while and claimed that these things happened for a while. So at what point is it rape? At what point is it doing sexual favors hoping that you'll get a part as the only white adopted daughter on the Cosby Show? And at what point does it become, I'm bitter because I didn't become famous and you said I'd become famous as long as I sucked on your big black penis? So, like, where is the truth?
Exactly, yeah.
And how is it that it's just a matter of, we'll just run the story and keep running the story, and that's the way it is?
And you know, this story is going to eventually die just like the other ones all from many years ago died.
Yeah, it's just weird.
I mean, you gotta think, over a dozen women since 2005, as anyone can remember, have been coming out saying that Bill Cosby has done this, but yet it just kind of just disappears.
I don't know.
So it's either people are getting paid off, or they know it's not true and they kill everything. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's one of those things I've been hearing about it for these past couple days.
I have two, and it seems every time anytime I look to get info, it's all like little infos, like a new interview with Bill Cosby that he did on a radio show where this guy is like asking him questions and all he's doing is shaking his head. You know, and the lawyer's basically saying, you know, people talking about, oh, his lawyers are saying just keep your mouth shut, don't say anything, and well, it's like that's what he's doing, but yet people are giving him heat for doing what his lawyers say. And like, people are like, well, if you didn't do it, you should just come out and be like, I didn't do it. It's like, why does anybody, if he didn't do it, why does he have to prove himself to it?
Exactly.
And then it's like, if he did do it, why does he have to prove it, like, come out and say it? Like, can't, like, just let it kind of get settled out.
Well, you know, the thing is, when people say, well, if he didn't do it, just say he didn't do it. When you don't answer, per se, okay? Or you're just like, I'm not even gonna, as they would say, dignify that with an answer. The minute you give an answer either way, there's always a follow-up or a rebuttal. So Bill Cosby goes, I never raped her. Then that opens the door for somebody to go, well, Bill, she says that you did, and on this day, once you've already stated, I didn't rape her, I did rape her, or it didn't go down like this, that opens the floodgates for it to never end. If you just don't say nothing, somebody goes and you go, dude, I ain't talking about that, then it's over. There is no more conversations about the topic. It's done. It's a done issue. So that's what Cosby's basically going, you're really going to ask me about something that happened 30 years ago. No charges were filed. Nothing happened. This isn't Roman Polanski. I didn't get arrested. This is one girl 30 years ago saying, he raped me, he drugged me, this went on for this period of time.
Man.
And he's saying, I ain't even going to talk about it.
And I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything because I'm not going to open up a floodgate for me. Because I have secret opinions that are all bundled up inside because I have mixed emotions about it that I don't really want to get into because it just makes me sound crazy. But yeah, so that is kind of an update what's going on with Bill Cosby.
Well, Bill Cosby and Mr. Pudding Pop right there. Alright, what else you got?
Johnny Depp was pulled off stage at the Hollywood Film Awards while presenting the Hollywood Documentary Award to Shep Gordon. That's who, not Mike Myers.
Shep Gordon.
Shep
Okay.
Gordon, because you said Mike Myers.
Okay.
And he was up there, and he originally was like scratching his head. He's like, I'm not really good at this kind of thing. And then he like was up there for like a minute, and then like got himself together. And then he started reading the thing, and then he's like, and everyone was like, oh, what is he saying? And like he kept going, and they finally had to cut him off, and they put up a clip that was honoring Shep Gordon. Like, okay, just in case Johnny Depp is wasted, this is our backup. So they used the backup, and he was pulled up off stage.
Now, you know what I thought was kind of funny on that, and maybe you can touch on it, because if you want to get connecting dots, didn't you tell me, I think it was Friday, about a rumor that Johnny Depp's girlfriend
Yep.
and Channing Tatum. Now, this just surfaced Friday
Mm-hmm.
or Thursday, and wouldn't it kind of, if you connect the dots, go, I wonder if Johnny Depp is going through like, he's upset, I guess, if you want to be technical, and he's drunk, and he's like, ugh, I'm just gonna go up there and I'm drunk. I'm not gonna go up there and be a dick, quote unquote, but I'm drunk today. I'm drunk. I'm depressed. My girlfriend is messing around with Channing Tatum. I mean, what's that story? Tell me the story.
So his fiance Amber Heard is part of the Magic Mike movie with Channing Tatum. She was in the first one, and now she's in the second one. And Friday, after the show, there's stories going around circulating throughout the weekend that Amber Heard and Channing Tatum are having an affair with each other, and that Channing Tatum's wife would go on set and start noticing like how flirty the two are with each other, and it was kind of like, this is very weird. So she started bringing their 1-year-old daughter on set too, to remind Channing Tatum that family's number one. And she started to get furious, and now all weekend just more rumors are coming out that they're hanging out, and that they like are very flirtatious and very like into each other on set, and all this build up that on Sunday during these awards, Johnny Depp just so happened to be wasted and went up on stage. And so if you want to say possibly those rumors are true and he's retaliating and getting drunk again, or some people say he is really getting into his character Jack the Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Because Jack Sparrow, not Jack the Sparrow, but Jack Sparrow is a complete pirate drunk.
So
Who knows?
I mean, who knows? But it's definitely funny.
Or Johnny Depp is Johnny Depp, and he's been like this more than one occasion.
Yeah, but I don't think I never heard of him going on stage at an award show being completely.
I could have sworn I don't think it was out here, but I think it was like an overseas film festival. He was kind of drunk and kind of slurry, but not like this, but like very kind of like.
But I could see that all these rumors, meaning like he didn't just find out about it in the press,
Mm-hmm.
like he might have known about it, but it hit the press, and it's like, because that makes him look kind of stupid.
Yeah.
So he might have heard about it, and he's just been like on a drinking binge for the last couple days, being like kind of depressed, so to speak. Like, I'm just gonna get loaded, and
Yeah.
he went, I got that stupid award show. Plus, it was they say it was the first time. Like, this was the premiere of the award show. It was like a new show that they're doing. And then you could even dispel all of that because Johnny Depp is just way cool, and he went in his mind to the people who created the show. I'm gonna give you guys a show that everybody's gonna talk about, and I'm gonna get completely S-faced. I'm gonna go up there, and everybody's gonna talk about your show being, oh my God, you gotta watch the clip, you gotta watch the show, because it's a crappy show, and I'm gonna give you guys publicity. Okay. Who knows? I mean, you could even go a step further and say it was all planned from the beginning, and not an act, but he went, I'm gonna get completely loaded and go to this award show and stand up on stage and be Mr. Rock and Roll.
It is Johnny Depp.
You could argue that point too, because yeah, it's a new show that people said was a disaster. Like, it was horrible.
See, it's so funny how like there's so many of these shows that it's like it's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like any other industry, how they have all these different shows
Yeah.
that kind of don't need to be there, but they are there just in case they forgot about anybody.
Same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's Johnny Depp and Hollywood Film Award Show. Solange Knowles. Beyonce's younger sister.
Name.
She got married
Solange.
over the weekend in New Orleans to music video director Alan Ferguson.
He looks like ISIS.
He looks like that rapper Common.
See, I don't know who that is.
And now I know you say ISIS, and not to be stereotypical, because not to add on to the stereotypical of what Rob Black just said, but I do find it creepy whenever black guys grow beards. But then again, I'm like, well, some of them do convert to Muslim. And I honestly think it's kind of like a Muslim thing, unless ISIS is like not Muslim, but I thought they were. But I always said the beards was like a Muslim thing.
Well, you know what?
Or a biker thing.
Yeah, it's even. I'll give you. I think it's more accurate to say this. It's creepier when they wear the beard all big and bushy like this.
Oh.
Like, to me, like when I see Tyler Perry's got a thin beard, but he's got the giant Bushman beard. Like, it's a weird beard. And then she looks even, like, it's obvious that they are purposely looking like this. She's got the giant Macy Gray afro.
Well, I mean, when I get to this story, you'll understand why they look like that.
All right, go ahead. My bad.
Because the whole thing. So before we get this, let me just say the story before we get into more commentary.
Okay, go ahead.
But their whole thing was a retro theme.
Oh.
She looks like that for a purpose because their wedding was a retro thing. They're in New Orleans. Getting all jazzy, getting all like, let's do it retro. We'll show up on a bicycle. Like, it'll be funny, and then I'll change, and everything will look perfect. So yes, that's why they look like they do.
Okay.
So she and Solange Knowles and Alan Ferguson. He's a music video producer. He's done Justin Bieber. He's done Katy Perry. He's done Miley Cyrus. He's won awards, and he's awesome at making music videos. Because I've seen some of his music videos and they're dope. So I would know. So yes, they showed up on a white bicycle at the ceremony, and then in her little retro gear, she came in with her little retro gear with the I claim it as when Beyonce did the Austin Powers movie where she was Foxy Brown.
Got it.
Remember? She's
Yep.
like, ah, child.
Yep.
So that's like how I kind of, and then she changed into a dress. This is her second marriage.
Okay.
She's 28, and
Okay.
he's 51,
Okay.
which I was like, I always like pulling out the age thing, because it's always fun to be like, oh wow, even though he looks like he's like 40, but hey,
23 years they are.
go her.
Alright.
So yes, so congratulations. Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Blue Ivy were there. And the mama was too. And a bunch of other like celebrities that I never heard of.
Alright. Was Kim K there?
No.
Kim K wasn't there. Alright. What else you got?
Lady Gaga is finishing up her Art Pop Ball tour. And on November 24th, you can watch her live on Live Yahoo
Lady Gaga.
at 10:45 a.m. Pacific time and 1:45 p.m. Eastern time. She is the reason why these times she's live from the Palais Omnisports de Paris Bercy in France.
Okay.
So she's finishing up her tour. Oh, she's also, been partnered up with, never mind, I forgot his name. Tony Bennett.
Oh yeah. Is that it? Tony Bennett, the old
The old guy that she's been collaborating with.
Got it.
They're coming out with like another song that they'll be performing this
Okay.
week soon.
So and Lady Gaga is still touring on her last record, right?
Yeah,
That was,
she's in the European tour right now.
Alright, what was the big song from the last record? Do you wanna bet the big? It's not Poker Face record, right?
It's like so old.
That's old.
I don't even remember. I don't know, actually.
Alright, it's that old.
I mean, it's a new album. I can't think of any songs right now.
It's no Taylor Swift. No Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift.
I've seen Lady Gaga live.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh.
When she did her Bad Romance. Ra, 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 ra. Oh, la, 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 Gaga, ooh, la, la. Oh, Bad Romance. I want your hunger, I want your disease. I want your everything as long as it's free. I want your love. And she comes out with the music video, and she was just like, ooh, like this in her eye, and they're like this big, yeah.
Alright, Lady Gaga.
That's Lady Gaga. I love Lady Gaga. She's fun. So Prince William has paired up with Angry Birds. They're releasing a new game that helps highlight the dangers of illegal poaching, where they like tear up an animal and like sell their body parts. Ugh. Like they're having like elephants and giraffes and anteaters, antelopes. He has a charity called United for Wildlife, and United for Wildlife is going with the creators of Angry Birds and their charity and kind of doing this game called Roll with the Penguins. I think penguins are those the cute little penguin-looking things, and they have like the little droopy faces like this. I think that's what a penguin is. think. I have no idea, but I know it's an animal.
Okay.
There's so many animals, because this whole thing is that there's all these animals that these people are doing all this poaching and basically running them to an extinction.
Mm-hmm.
I always want to say extension, but that just means add-on.
Yeah.
They're making less up.
Yeah.
And so I feel really bad for those animals. I want to help the animals. I think I'm gonna get this game.
Yeah, well, because what happens is they'll kill the animal and they use their feet.
Yeah.
Because maybe their feet might be valuable, or their horns, or their
Remember,
eyeballs. Whatever they're poaching is something valuable on
remember,
a shark fin.
We didn't watch it. I refused to watch it. But the show Vice, they had the rhino horns.
Yeah, rhino
that
horns.
They were doing that too. I cried. I cried before it even came on.
Yeah.
I was like, "There's no way you're making me watch this." And Rob's like, Rob has a thing of, if I don't want to watch something, he'll watch like 2 minutes of it, or like 20 seconds of it. Just kind of, let me just get the feel of it. Let me get the feel of what's going on, and then I'll change it. Like last night, I've never seen The Godfather, ever. And he's like, I come out of the bathroom, and he's like, I'm going to change it. And then we literally are watching it for 10 minutes, and I'm like,
5 minutes.
7 minutes. And then...
So I
was like, why do you do this to me?
Alright.
But I still love you.
No Angry Birds.
I love Angry Birds.
You don't be an Angry Bird.
If I was an angry bird, I'd be the red bird.
Would you be?
The red bird. The triangle red bird.
I never even played Angry Birds.
So much fun.
Alright, go ahead.
Pope Francis will be here in America for the first time next September.
Oh,
In
geez.
Philadelphia for the World Meeting of Families.
It's gonna be huge.
He's the fourth pope to be in the U.S. And then he will be in New York following for the General Assembly.
Oh, yeah.
So we are going to have to go to Philadelphia. We're going to find out these dates. I want to see the Pope.
Wow. Wow.
Why are you saying wow?
I've seen the Pope.
I know.
Because I couldn't imagine seeing the Pope again and having the history of telling people I've seen two popes. Like that's like who does that? A lot of people, but you're definitely in a class of people that is not your average American citizen. To say I've had mass with the Pope twice, and the Pope were two different popes. They're like, what? Like, yes.
Oh, so you saw
popes.
Pope Benedict.
Nope. I seen the big Pope, the most popular Pope, Pope John Paul.
Oh yeah, that guy.
The one that got shot, the one... He
was after Benedict, right?
No, he was before Benedict.
Oh.
Benedict is the one that quit.
Oh, okay, I thought...
Pope John Paul is the one that was the most famous Pope in the history of Popeness.
Yeah.
Here's the one that was the Pope the longest. He was around for Reagan. He was around for both Bushes, around for Clinton. He got shot. I mean, he's the Pope that everybody. The concept of Pope memorabilia started with him. The internet, everything that we enjoy today that makes people stars from the internet with reality TV and video games. Pope John Paul was the one that was in office when this was happening. So he's the most popular. So I had mass with him in Italy So I was part of about 120,000 people. It was like a Metallica concert. I was in the front row on a guardrail being pushed as he came by in his little Pope mobile. I had a communion. And he died. Then you had the next Pope that came in. He quit. And now you got Pope Frank here.
I like Pope Francis. I think he's pretty cool.
And now Pope Frank, if we go to see him, that would be my second Pope.
I would love to see the Pope.
Huge. Pope! Alright, what else? He'll be in town.
Yes. September.
Big news.
It's huge. It's huge for us. Not, like, U.S.
Yeah.
Not us, but the United States is big.
It'll be big.
Even if you're not religious, you still want to go see the Pope because it's the Pope, and you're just like.
Well, yeah. I mean,
awesome.
it's kind of like if you're not, even if
It's
you're
like
not.
the president.
Yeah. Or it's like if you're not a Barbra Streisand fan, and somebody goes.
I can't believe you just compared Barbra Streisand to the Pope.
And somebody goes, "Hey, I got tickets to see Barbra Streisand. You want to go?" You're like, "Yeah." Elton John, Barbra Streisand, Madonna.
Bette Midler.
Yeah, it's not. It's like you're not a fan, but if somebody offers you tickets because they're in town, you go. You're like, "Oh, sure, I gotta go see Elton John. Oh, sure, I gotta go see Barbara." But you wouldn't do it. You're not a fan. It's not somebody that you would actively go out and search. But the Pope, if he came in town,
Yeah.
and you could go to see him, and someone's like, "Hey, you want to go down to, the city and be amongst 100,000 people to watch the Pope talk?" Yeah, sure. It's one of those once in a lifetime things. It's like going out and seeing the full moon, the bleeding moon, or whatever the hell it is. It's like, yeah, let me go do it, just so you can say you did it. So, I'm down to go see the Pope, like Bette Midler.
I want to see Bette Midler.
You are the wind beneath
She has a new album
my
out.
wing.
She has a new album out, which means she's going on tour, which I gotta look at the ticket.
Alright, what else you got, Bet?
So, G4 TV. I don't know if you know what G4 is, but they are officially canceled. Officially. I thought they were already canceled. They've been trying to cancel G4 for like 5 years now. And they're like, finally!
I'd love to know who owns it.
NBC Universal.
Okay, so NBC killed it.
Yeah.
G4 TV was the video. It's
It's
weird
the
because
game
there's
show.
a video game show, and they actually did little things about our porn
Yeah.
parodies that were
Yep.
superheroes.
Yeah.
Like we actually, when I was doing adult entertainment parodies involving superheroes, G4 actually did a couple segments on that, which is weird that they are an NBC Universal product that was like, yeah, go ahead, cover porn.
But you gotta think too, it's like, all those NBC, ABC, all those networks, they own other like Bravo. And Bravo says very profound things that you're just like, what? And then, but you find out that it's owned by NBC Universal. NBC, and then you have shows that are on ABC that you're kind of like, and you're just like, why would they have a show about this? And you're just like, well, kind of makes sense, because if you look at this generation, everything is about sex and how to be sexy, pretty
True.
much.
So
But
G4 is canceled. Go
G4
ahead.
is canceled, and I do remember, it's so funny to say, because I remember, I mean, even before the porn parodies, they were doing stuff with adult, like, films, as it was, like, they would go to AVN, or they would do Comic-Con, and they would be like, adult company, blah, 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 is at Comic-Con this year, and this is before I got into the realm of adult work, that I would watch and be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. They do this, they do that, they do that. It's so cool.
So I wonder what's going to become a G4 now.
Sci-fi. Sci-fi bought all of, like, it's now sci-fi, because the site, anytime you go, if you go to G4 site, it directs you to sci-fi games. So, like, Sci-Fi Network. And I know Sci-Fi is definitely owned by NBC, so maybe Sci-Fi is basically picking up where G4 left off. Because people love Sci-Fi.
Because I wonder what will happen with the TV channel. I know the internet,
Well,
but they had a channel.
Right, well, they got rid of the channel. They're, like, they...
Yeah, I know, but they still
They
still own that place on the cable dial. You kind of get what I'm saying?
But see, this is the thing, but what everything that's on here was they got rid of everything from the channel to the thing. So it's like, even if you try to go to the channel, it's not going to show up on the guide.
I understand, but what I'm telling you is NBC Universal owns that
Oh, like what they're going to
channel.
turn it.
Yeah, what are they going to turn it into? They own the property, meaning to get a channel with Time Warner to any of these people is a big deal. Like, you go to Time Warner, hey, we want 10 channels, and Time Warner goes, okay, you can be channel number 52.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to just give it up to then have Fox buy it. So I wonder what they're going to turn their place on the dial into. That's what I mean.
And
Like,
they could bring back Fuel.
like, what are they going to, like, Fuel, whatever that channel Fuel was, got turned into something else.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. They get turned into something else. It's kind of like when we had our adult film company, and we had X amount of brands. So we had Armageddon, Evolution, Extreme. And then we sold those to different distributors. So we had a place in those distributors' computers. Like, oh, this company which Rob Black owns, he represents these 3 lines. Well, when we stopped Armageddon, we didn't want to give up our shelf space, so to speak, so we create a different line. So I can't imagine NBC Universal's giving up their space on the dial. So what are they going to turn it into? Like, what new channel? What's hot right now that they're going to go, hey, let's create the Zombie Network, and it's all zombies all day. I don't know. Just like you said, Fuel got canceled. But Fuel really just got taken over, like they converted it to something else.
Yeah.
They
went from music to extreme sports.
Yeah, if you really look, Fuel wound up becoming not Fuel anymore. They're something else, but it was really just Fuel. It was like, all right, let's take all the property, all of our producers, everything, and convert it into a new network.
Yeah.
So
I wonder, because I'm like, unless they turn it into like a reality type thing, like another Bravo station.
maybe, because that's hot.
Yeah.
But G4, no more.
No more G4.
Alright.
I used to watch Attack of the Show every week.
Uh-huh.
Attack of the Show is like what's the newest things in the gaming world. Aaron Rodgers' girlfriend was the host of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ford, they are bringing back their Mustang Shelby.
Which is a Mustang Shelby? Let me see. I gotta see what the Mustang Shelby is.
It's like they're bulky.
I got it. Is that a big deal?
Yeah, I mean, it was like a rare, like, for, like, sorry. You know the Pontiac GTOs?
Mm-hmm.
You know how GTO was around from, like, a certain amount of year, and then they, like, stopped making it, and they all of a sudden came back in, like, the early 2000s and made another one, and then they stopped.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's like the Shelby was, like, a special addition to Mustang, and it was kind of like, we're going to make it this very stocky, bulky, manly car. and they had it, and it sold great, so they had it for a little while, and then they just stopped making it. Well, after, 45, 50 years later, they're like, oh, we'll bring it back, and we are going to make it the Mustang Shelby GT350, and it'll have all these awesome features to it. We'll add to it. We'll make it more of, like the Mustang GT right now, the new one that they have. It's nice, but the Shelby is kind of like that upgrade.
I got you.
Kind of like Corvette.
All right. Well,
Corvette's
I'm not real. I was whatever.
But yeah, so they redid it, rebuilt it, and now it's in the Carroll Shelby Museum in LA.
Got it. All right. Well, there it is. Mustang Shelby GT 350. Blah 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 blah. What else?
Oh wait, no. Facebook. Now Facebook did this thing where during the Obama campaign, they had it to where it's like you get this app, and it was called Campaign Facebook app.
Okay.
You got this app, and it basically, are you a Democrat or a Republican?
Okay.
And you do this, but it linked to all your friends.
Okay.
It's one of those things like, do you want your friends to know about this too? And it was basically going into the friends and basically ransacking their pages with, this is why you should vote. This is why it's important to vote. Basically forcing people to kind of vote.
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of getting overwhelming to people, and they're like, this is really stupid. Why are you sending me your campaign app? I don't need this. I don't care about this. And they took it down for 2016 elections. They're like, okay, we understand no one liked the campaign Facebook app, even though it was helping you in a way, but also it turns out that third parties were getting into people's accounts and kind of, can take certain information that adds in more of an ad thing. Whatever you like on Facebook, it generates to whenever you scroll, say you like Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have Justin Bieber everywhere, and you're just this is so overwhelmingly annoying. I'm getting tired of looking at Justin Bieber, and you want to unlike it. It's basically like this. So imagine you get that, and all you see is Mitt Romney, and you're like, no, I don't like you. Go away. Or you see Obama, and you're like, no, I don't care about this. Go away. So they got rid of that.
So basically, in a nutshell, Facebook is doing away with. It's kind of fun. Basically, Facebook is doing away with something that young people. Facebook is geared for young people. Young people are who is supposed to be the future of the country. They're supposed to get out and vote. They're supposed to be changing the way we do business in this country because their voice matters.
Mm-hmm.
And Facebook is now doing away with the app because the young people on Facebook say, I totally hate this thing bombarding my like page that I want my hookups to be with these political things, that do away with it. So all the young people are saying, we don't want anything to have to do with politics anymore. And these are the same young people that people like Elizabeth Warren are trying to cater to by saying, I'm going to cut your student loans. And all these people are like, we don't care. You're just interfering with my spying on my ex-girlfriend. That's it. That's the premise. They're going to do away with the one thing that made Facebook kind of socially responsible, kind of, in a way. You know, where you're on your Facebook going, oh, this girl's cute. Pop-up ad. Vote today. Your voice needs to be heard. Ah, F you. I ain't voting. Let me get that cute girl guy. Pop up. Vote for me. Ah, F you. I don't want to vote. Delete. That's what they're doing away with.
Yeah.
There you go. There's the youth of America.
And it's kind of like they should be getting rid of all their silly like farmer games.
Exactly, like they should get away with, but they don't. Why? You gotta understand something. They're not They're really doing. And here's the sad thing: things like Facebook or Twitter only respond to the will of the people.
Yeah.
To me, that's the most accurate polling data and voice of the American people is Facebook or Twitter. Because those are the places that you actually get a true reading. Where if you sat there and went to all, billion people on Facebook and said, who do you like, President Obama or Mitt Romney? You would literally get 1 billion people to vote. You would get 1 billion people to go, Obama, Romney, Obama. You would get more of a feel of where the people stood. If you sat there and went, do you think women should be allowed to have abortions? Yes or no? You would have 1 billion people go yes or no. Opposed to any other bull-ass polling that there is. So when Facebook does away with these things, it's because their internal polling are people saying, we don't want that. We want farmer games. We want Angry Birds.
Yeah.
We want zombie games. We don't care about politics. So that's a real telling thing about our fabric of our society is
Yeah.
doing away with politics on Facebook and promoting Angry Birds,
Yeah.
or promoting things of that nature. So it's crazy.
All right.
Anyways,
We'll go through sports news real quick.
go for it, baby.
All right, so Adrian
Peterson.
Oh my God, sorry guys.
Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson says the NFL is being unfair about what's going on with him and trying to add more discipline to his situation. And he refused to go to a discipline hearing on Friday. It says that Roger Goodell, the commissioner, is trying to set a new process of discipline for Peterson, and he won't allow it. He's going to fight against it. And he is going to know today if he will be reinstated into the NFL.
Okay.
2 p.m.
2 p.m. today, we'll know.
Yes.
All right, good.
The DEA has raided the 49ers, Buccaneers, and Seahawks, inspecting medical staff to see if anyone is transporting prescription drugs over state lines.
Yeah, we actually touched on this a little bit earlier in the show.
Oh.
Still, just a little, but yes, yeah. I think you're going to see more of the story developing with, because this all stems from the lawsuit.
Yes.
There's a lawsuit
Yes.
that was filed by like 1,200 players about them being given drugs.
That was only a couple months ago,
Yeah.
too.
By I think it's up being given drugs, and some players talked about how there were lines going around trainers' rooms waiting to get their injections of pain medicine, and that I think it said one player played for like half a season with a broken leg.
Yeah, there was players that played with broken arms for 2 seasons that were constantly just doped up on pain medicine, and I remember because we talked about that at the old studio.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. I talked about how CNN should be talking about this, that the DEA actually raided 3 football teams and said, we want to see your licenses, we want to see your doctor, your paper, we want to see that in your bag right now, the bag that you have, OxyContin, is legally able to be in this bag. We want to know that who gave it out to what player is legal to do that. We want to know what player has the ailment that they would need these types of drugs. That's what, and I think that's a big deal.
It's huge.
But CNN didn't cover it.
Definitely a turn for the NFL too.
Hell yeah.
Amongst everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Amongst all the other stuff that they're going through, the fact that
I've never seen the NFL go through so much stuff, so much heat, so much pressure, and
ever. But yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, moving on, we got 2 stories left. All right, so J.J. Watt, he's in position of MVP. He actually had a touchdown on Sunday.
Another one.
Yeah, but get this, as a wide receiver. He played in position as a wide receiver. Got the touchdown. He broke Andre Johnson's record. He also has the most touchdown in a season by a defensive lineman since 1948.
Wow.
Kid's amazing.
Yeah.
Kid's so amazing. Last story is RG3. He says that, which is funny because it's like people are saying that he's blasting his teammates when in actuality he's, just pointing out the facts, and his teammates are having like a little like pouty fit about it. So he says that because they lost to the Buccaneers 27-7 on Sunday, he says that we're not a very good football team right now, that they still need to practice, and that it takes 11 men and that not just one. So people shouldn't say, oh, that like these players need to stop thinking that it needs to just be me out there. It's like it takes 11 of us to make stuff happen. And he needs all his guys to be great.
Yeah.
So he can play with them. And his teammates are basically like, why are you bashing us, man? Why are you bashing us? Why are you saying that we're not a team? And he's like, I'm not. I'm saying that we gotta act more like a team. And oh my God, stop. You're ruining my story, mascot.
Jesus. I'm just like.
Okay, come on. Let me separate. Okay. No, you cannot have him. Alright, guys, so yes. Oh my God. So, alright, so on that note, RG3 wants everyone to participate if they're going to be anything for the Redskins. And that is it. Oh, and look, Rob Black has used all my paper.
You're right. Okay.
I'm kidding.
It's the Rob Black Show. Are you done?
I'm done. Au revoir.
Alright. We're back, guys, and that was the news. And I'm sorry about the interruption from just horrific animals. Because that's what they are. They're horrific,
Just one is.
evil animals.
Just one.
Alright, so we'll see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. for more fun and excitement and God knows whatever else we will have for you. So we'll be here then. So don't forget, go to the website, theroblackshow.com, buy the book, all that good stuff on the Rob Black Show. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.